Boys, cool.
Live. Go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is the Disc Golf Central live stream on YouTube. My name is Tori. I'm one of your hosts tonight.
And I'm Craig.
That's
Yep.
Craig up there. I'm pointing to him in the screen as if he's actually up there and living up there. And then tonight, we're pretty pumped. We've got our first guest ever. We've got Bryan. Chip, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So one of the things we're going to start doing here, start every show, beverage of the evening. What's everybody drinking tonight? Last week I had a Bell's Two Hearted Ale to go along with this old 4-point Z Talon that I have. This is one of my magic discs. It's a sweet turnover disc for me. It's really old. So I had that. I enjoyed that last week, little brewski. But I got the water tonight, hydrating up for the incoming Texas heat because I sweat a lot when I'm just standing around at work.
Fair enough. I am drinking a delicious strawberry banana Body Armor sports drink.
Body Armor.
Living it up.
All right, Paul.
Yep.
Paul Macbeth. They send you a box of those for free in the mail? Like they sent
Nope. I had to pay for those just like my Discraft gear. Mentioned that a few podcasts ago. I'm not getting any sponsorship deals from anybody, so paying full retail price.
We also said, we're probably not ideal candidates. #amateurs for life.
Yeah, whatever.
Chip, how about you?
I am drinking water with lime.
There you go. Everybody's hydrating up tonight. Solid. Cool. Well, again, thanks for joining us, Chip. We just wanted to bring somebody on and have the chance to do this the right way. We've been kind of doing it hodgepodge the last couple of weeks and trying to put things together and get this stream as it exists now up and running, which we think is a little bit more high quality, and we're pretty pumped about that. So thanks for being a part of it with us. But Chip, we want to hear a little bit from you about the Discraft Underground team. We know you're a team member, and a lot of people have not heard about the Discraft Underground team. I know Craig and I both signed up or applied when the time came around with very slim chances and hopes, but it's just something fun to do. You see it. We appreciated what Discraft was trying to do. So tell us a little bit about the process of getting involved with Team Underground.
Well, I was actually on the inaugural team. So Wes had approached me last summer and said he had something in the works. And so I was invited onto the team kind of the first wave. There was like 10 or 15 of us that were invited onto the team because of our social media presence. Yeah. We threw all Discraft, that kind of thing. And so part of the underground team is pushing the social media. That's kind of how it's free advertising. It's definitely pushed me outside my comfort zone, doing some videos, getting behind the camera, in front of the camera. But the main thing is just, doing disc reviews, testing new discs, discussion, positive discussion, break some bad habits, and just reading up on the different brands, the consistency. And that's just kind of why I chose them, because I didn't want to have to search for hours and hours and spend lots of money to get the perfect disc,
Sure.
that only applies with certain runs.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of Discraft. Like you can lose one and pick it up out of the box and it's going to fly the same way, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's actually something that I like. So Craig and I have been Discraft people for like a long time, very, very long time. Pretty much since we started, and one of the things I've always appreciated about Discraft and what I've heard even other big names, they talk about just how you can go to the shelf. If you lose one, you can go to the shelf. You can get a new buzz. You can get a new whatever.
Yep.
And it's right there. Robert Leonard. I don't know if you know Robert Leonard. He's on Team Discraft, I think. He does TDs. He's a tournament director around.
His name sounds familiar.
He actually gave my wife a Discraft heat at the Amateur National Championships a couple years ago, and that was one of the big things that he talked about making the switch, because he's from North Carolina, I think, and so he was in his backyard, and he made the switch, and that was one of his big things. So, cool. What's your favorite go-to disc in your bag right now?
And man,
what disc are you trying to learn too? We can do that both ways.
So, if you'd asked me a couple months ago, I would have said the Vulture. That disc, I really like it. It's still one of my go-tos, but as of late, it's been the Mantis.
Cool.
I've been trying to learn my forehand, so I'm trying to go. Big Germ talks about learning understable stuff to learn to control angles, and the Mantis has just enough stability. where you don't have to baby it, but you do have to control the angle and just learning the forehand. But then I love that disc at low speeds. If you're throwing it like at 50 to 60%, whatever line you put on it, it's going to hold it. You throw a little turnover, it's going to hold that the whole way. Highs are straight, it'll go, up to 250 at a low speed. It'll hold every line you want to put on it. And my favorite shot with that is the anti-flick, get out of trouble shot. I can pop it pretty hard, and it'll just hold that line the whole way and just kind of sit down in the fairway. So that's kind of my go-to. Probably won't ever leave the bag. I took it out a few times, but it's always made its way back in. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Manus as well. I had one a few years ago and told Tori about it, and it ended up getting its way out of my bag and just bagged another one. So I'm excited for this year to throw it again. It's a really good disc.
We were just talking, Craig and I were just talking about I'm looking for that kind of that turnover spot in my bag right now. Like I said, I have this Talon here, and it holds a really nice anhyzer for a really long time, and then it always fights out of it, which I like about it. But I'm looking for that thing that I can put out there, and I want it to be workable still, because I don't want it to just be a one-trick pony of a disc. But I throw the XL too, and that's probably my favorite fairway driver. It's I would say I like it more than the Undertaker. Undertaker would be my second.
Yeah.
But that I have thrown an XL for so long that I know exactly how it is going to fly. And that's what I appreciate really the most about it, is I can get that turnover that kind of rides all the way, but it doesn't go as far as I'd like it to. Or I can get that pop up with a good hook up, or I can just throw it straight. And I love the XL. I don't think there's anything that's ever going to take the XL out of my bag, which is why I've kind of been apprehensive about trying the Mantis, because I see the numbers and the rating is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So,
Chip, how many Manuses do you bag right now?
I carry 2. I have the Buzz grip bag, so it doesn't have a ton of space. So I pretty much have 2 of everything.
Okay.
Like my main primary and then a backup. It was just a way for me to kind of simplify and take out some of the thought process.
Yeah.
Multiples, like 3 or 4 of a disc, and then I'll be like, well, which one should I throw? So I just kind of like put my core in my bag and just kind of put a primary and a backup. So most of the primaries are a little less stable, and the backups are the more stable version.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know all about that. So
a regular Z is what I'm bagging right now.
Okay. Cool.
Hey, I'm getting something from YouTube saying that I need to adjust some settings. So let's take a break here, and we'll go off. All right, and we are live once again, ladies and gentlemen. So sorry about that, folks. If you're out there watching, we had to do a quick little midstream adjustment to our settings and whatnot. So it should be all good to go now.
Why is it? This says that it doesn't start. Oh, nope. Now we're good. All right, we're on. Let's go. It said 9 o'clock, and now it just went live.
Sometimes it does weird. It auto schedules it if you don't put it up. I don't know.
Whatever. We're good now.
I'll make sure to take down these 2 live streams and make one composite stream that'll be up later for people to watch, because we were at a pretty good point before all that happened. So we were talking about some of our favorite discs in our bag, and Chip, you were mentioning how you got started with Discraft, how you picked them up to kind of fix some bad habits and stuff as you were trying to start getting competitive. So tell us about that time. I think you said you started in 2004. Tell us about that time in between.
My high school youth pastor introduced me to the sport, and he had a pretty good knowledge of it. He got me set up with the right kind of disc, like an understable driver, a mid-range, and a putter. So he kind of had a good knowledge, but I didn't keep playing with him for very long because he kind of went off. He was in college, and so once he graduated, and then just a group of buddies and I went out. I guess it was my junior year of college. That summer, we went out like every day and played at our local course. I started getting better, and then I just kind of played off and on for fun up until about 2016, I think, is when I decided I wanted to start being competitive again, just in general.
Sure.
And so I got my PDGA number and started competing and played that first tournament, and everything that could go wrong went wrong. Went out of bounds every time I go out of bounds, and just realized I was trying to make discs do things they weren't made to do. I always had a couple of Discraft in the bag just from random pickups or whatever, and I was like, they always kind of flew good for me, so went and grabbed a few more, and the rest is history. So I've been all Discraft for about 3 years now.
Awesome. Cool. And you know, Craig, we were trying to do our due diligence on our end coming into this, and we were looking at your tournament history and stuff and different stuff like that. So tell us about some of your highlights of your tournament career. We saw you played most recently. Looks like you've been playing a lot of AM1. So
Yeah.
you're at the top of the amateur game, which neither one of us can say we've ever been at. So
Nope.
so tell us about what it's like to compete and how you've done some of the highlights of your career so far.
The biggest tournament I played was Bowling Green Ams last year,
Yeah.
and it was a big learning experience. I finished in the bottom 25% of that tournament, and I did the statistics, and there was, I think, 28 holes under 300 feet, and I birdied like 5 of them, and then I had like 5 bogeys to go along with it. So I finished even par on the birdie holes, and I was like, okay, that's the part of my game that I need to work on. I do have one career win. That was the next gen event that we did here locally. There was like 5 guys in my division, but I did have the lowest score for the whole day that day, so that was pretty cool.
Sweet.
And then my best tournament overall, I would say, was the Ice Bowl this year here in town, and there was like 30 guys in MA1, and I came in third. So I played 2 consistent rounds. The wind was pretty swirly, but I was able to keep the bogeys off and had quite a few birdies that day. So it was a good day.
Sweet. Kind of a transition maybe to more just general like disc golf culture. What do you think? If you had to pick one thing that you appreciate most about the game itself. I mean, you mentioned that you like to compete, and I think anybody who takes disc golf seriously to any standard. I mean, I know Craig and I would say we take it seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously enough to be good at it. But anybody that takes it seriously enjoys the competition aspect. But what maybe is something else that drew you to disc golf in general?
It's kind of that common ground. I mean, guys I play with now, I probably would have never talked to if it hadn't been for disc golf. Brings different people from different walks of life together, gets you outside, keeps you active, and it's free. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, once you get the disc, that's pretty much the only thing you're going to pay for. The majority of the courses are free local parks. So it's just a great way to get outside, to have some fun, get some fresh air, get some steps in. But then if you want to get that competitive edge or competitive itch scratched, you can go out and play with some buddies and put something on the line or go play some tournaments. So I think it offers something to everybody, no matter what skill level you are, where what goals you have for disc golf. It offers something to you. So
yeah, I think I've taught anybody from the age of 4, my nephew 4, and all the way up to my mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law, and they had just as big of a blast. So I think just what you said, it offers something for everybody, no matter what walk of life you're in. And I mean, Tori and I both would say that we've played rounds with guys and talked to guys that we never would have talked to before.
Yeah.
And I talked to Tori about this like Christmas time, and just told him that I think disc golfers as a whole are some of the best people that I've ever come encounter with. I think that they always have each other's backs, and I think that's one of the things that's really cool about disc golf is it doesn't matter if you're halfway across the country or even us right now. I'm in Michigan, you're in Tennessee, Tori's in Texas, and we're sitting here talking about disc golf and trying to just spread knowledge. So I think that's really cool about the sport too.
Yeah.
For sure. I've been excited for quite a few years now, going back to probably when the whole Prodigy shakeup happened, at just kind of the direction of disc golf as a professional sport, as a sport with some credibility. When I first got into it, kind of a lot like you, Chip, and Craig was there I was there when Craig first got into disc golf. But when I first started, I was in college, and the first time I played like something resembling disc golf was just with a regular, rec frisbee, an Ultra Star, and throwing it at poles on my college campus. And guys, we'd go out in groups of like 30 and go out there and just trample all over the campus. And then when I realized that it was something that was more of a dynamic sport, where there was gear specifically meant to be certain shots, because I grew up playing ball golf from a really young age.
Yeah.
And so when I kind of made that connection, I was just like on fire from the get-go and was all about it and wanted to learn the shots and learned how to hyzer flip with a Stratus X, Discraft Stratus X back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And just like that, I could point to that moment, that first time that I understood how to throw a hyzer flip. That was like one of those really seminal moments for me as just somebody who enjoys the sport, not even like as somebody who's trying to compete, but it's probably like maybe 6 months into playing and learning how to do that and watching a disc do that in the air was just like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest sport ever known to mankind. So I wanted to ask you guys, both of you, Craig and Chip, what's one of those moments you can point to as a player playing disc golf where whether you've been playing it for like a year or a week or however long it was, like either you instantly fell in love with the game or you re-fell in love with it after stepping away or whatever it might be. Chip, why don't you go ahead and lead us off?
Okay. For me, it was when me and that group of guys were going out and playing all the time, and I had gotten to where I just bought whatever. I didn't know what discs were supposed to do. I just bought whatever looked cool or sounded cool.
Yeah.
Or whatever was the cheapest. But we were at a Plate Against Sports, and Star Plastic had just released for Innova, and they had a Star Leopard, and I picked it up, and I can remember the moment and the hole when I threw it, and it just went straight, like 6 feet off the ground for like 250 feet, and I was like, oh, that's what a disc is supposed to do, Leopard. And so I can do a lot of the same things with that disc. And I would say even more. It goes way further. That disc goes so far if you get it on a good hyzer flip. So, but that was the moment when I threw that Leopard straight for like 250 feet. It was that like aha moment. So.
Yeah. For me, Tori and I, we used to work together, and Tori and another guy were playing disc for a number of years before they ever introduced me to the sport. And so, me and another coworker were bound and determined that we were going to go out and beat Tori and this other guy. We're going to pick it up in a matter of a couple months, and we're going to be better than them. And while we progressed really quickly, it took some time before we were actually competing. But I remember being able to birdie, the first hole or first couple holes, and it really catching on at that point. Like, okay, I'm throwing it far enough, or even getting to the point where I'm throwing far enough, but I'm missing the putt, and it's just feeding that hunger of, okay, if I could be a better putter, then I could, get more birdies, and I could be a better all-around disc golfer. And so then I started working on my putting, and then it turned into, well, my approach shots. I need to really learn on that. And so I think just from the get-go, I think that's what really hooked me. Was it started out as I've got to beat Tori and Dan, and then it turned into, okay, I've got to beat myself. I've got to beat the guy that I was yesterday playing on the course. And even that now is probably my biggest competition, is just myself.
Yeah. And that's a great thing about golf in general, but competing against yourself is so much more about your own mental fortitude, because you first have to get invested in caring enough to be out there by yourself and competing against yourself and not being lackadaisical about it. I fall into that trap sometimes where I'm just like, okay, I'm out here today because I need to be outside and active, not because I'm trying to get better at disc golf. And so I'm trying to really work on that mental side of my game of treating as many of the rounds as I play as though I'm trying to improve and not just trying to throw plastic, so.
Yeah. So, Chip, yesterday we had put your profile or your picture and some questions just for being our disc golfer of the week. And we had asked your favorite course or coolest place that you've played. You want to kind of touch on that a little bit and talk about maybe that course or the courses and just give people an idea of what it's like?
Yeah. Probably my favorite course, Southern Canyon State Park. It was one that was maybe an hour away from where I lived when I was in Chattanooga. And it's in a state park. It's up on a mountain, and it's just got kind of every shot you can imagine. It's got long straight bombers. It's got short hyzers. It's got short straight shots, turnovers, tunnel shots. So just kind of a little bit of everything. And it was the group of guys I played with. I set the record for the lowest score on that course.
Really? Nice.
I shot like 6 down that day, and that was kind of the record for our group for a while.
Sweet.
And then the other one is Fontana Dam Resort disc golf course. And it's kind of the same way. It's up on a mountain in a resort. It's just really pretty. And it's got long and short tee pads, and a little bit of everything too. But it's a little more open on most of the shots, so they're just long. But as long as you get your line, you can give yourself a shot to get birdies. But it's just one of those like scenic, just really fun. Go take a good drive out the course, and then play a couple rounds, and then drive back home.
Yeah, my wife and I talk about it quite a bit, and the fact that disc golf can take you to some of the coolest places in the country, or really in the world, just depending on where you're going. But man, we've come across so many cool just places that we would have drove past and never even known were there, if not for like the UDisc app or some other websites that are you're able to locate where some disc golf courses are. And there's just some really cool gems, especially in northern Michigan and just in Michigan in general. But just some really cool courses out there.
Yeah, Chip, if you're ever in Michigan, I definitely recommend checking out Deerfield Park. Is pretty close to Craig, where I used to live. That's central Michigan area. And then Hickory Hills in Traverse City is probably the most beautiful course that I've ever played. It's not my most favorite. My most favorite is probably Flip City Disc Golf Park in West Michigan.
Yeah. Michigan is definitely on the bucket list for sure.
Yeah. Come on up. Yeah, anytime, man.
And probably one of the coolest things I've ever done in disc golf in terms of just playing different courses around on the country. My 21st birthday, my dad took me to California to play some of the old courses from back in the 70s and stuff, and that was really cool. And so we did that. We played a couple. One was Morley Field in San Diego, but I can't remember what the other one was. And then we played this is my dad's a big ball golfer. We played a disc golf course on a ball golf course, and he was like, "Oh, this is cool." Like he kind of caught the vision of the similarities between the sports when played in that kind of a setting, because that's way different than going and just traipsing through the woods and having to hit ridiculously tight lines. Have some of those big open holes, at least for my dad, whose eye is more used to perceiving golf in that kind of a ball golf setting. That's when he kind of got it and was like, okay, I get the appeal of this now, and that was a cool moment for me for sure in disc golf.
So one last thing, Chip, before we let you go. One thing that you said you wanted to work on this season was your forehand. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. The end of 2017, I had gotten my forehand where it was pretty decent. I was getting it out to about 325, 330, and could control it pretty well. And then the winter came, and I just didn't get to work on it enough, and it kind of went away. And this whole last year, I have spent trying to, figure it out. And so I'm kind of back to scratch. So I have been going out to a little 9-hole course that's not too far from where I work now, and just doing standstills with my buzz. Just working on throwing it straight and learning how to control that disc. And I don't run anything. If I'm outside 30 feet, I'm practicing laying up with a forehand, learning that touch. And then went to a little longer course and used the Mantis from a standstill. And I'm starting to get a better feel for those angles, but I just know it will open up a lot more shots on the course. It'll make attacking holes a little easier if I'm not having to force a turnover. And I can just step up and throw a flat shot. It's going to go straight and then hyzer out to the right. It's going to open up a lot more and hopefully lower the score.
Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of disc golfers wish that they had. And I also feel like it's something that some guys, that's just what they start out with. And I see them on the course and I'm like, dang, I am so jealous of you. I wish if I had that shot, I would be a lot better disc golfer. I know Tori and I both wish that our forehand was better than it is. I kind of, like you, had it there for a little while and then don't have it now, and I'm trying to get it back right now. I've been throwing it a lot this past month with it just being so cold and snowy and icy in Michigan. Run-ups are pretty much impossible right now. So I'm really working on just that standstill, like you said, and trying to find something that's maybe a little understable, because from the time I started, I was told grab the most overstable disc that you have and try to throw that forehand. And that just turned into bad news for me a lot of the time. So trying to grab some of those understable discs or something that I know is just going to go straight like a buzz, like you said, and just trying to flick it out there, not even worried about how far it goes, but just trying to touch, like you said.
Yeah, I know exactly what you said, Craig. It has been my Achilles heel in the entire time I've ever played disc golf, and that's just like only thinking about the forehand as the hyzer left to right shot that I can't throw with a backhand turnover, because the angle is meant for a forehand shot or for lefty hyzer, and that's the only way you can attack a pin and get into scoring position. And so I've never thought about really trying to learn the angles of a forehand approach or forehand throw the same way that I've had to learn backhand. It's just never crossed my mind. It's always been like, okay, I need to learn how to do this so that I have this utility shot in my bag that I can't recreate with the backhand. So maybe it's time for me to hit the field and do some reimagining. And we did have this video we're gonna roll in here. This is from Infinite Discs. Maybe this will help all of us in our pursuit of better forehand throwing. This is Nate Sexton talking a little bit about how to be better at forehand at least. Chip, I apologize, you're not gonna be able to get the video, but we'll roll in the audio for you, and then on the replay maybe you can check it out or go to Infinite's.
I'm pretty sure I've watched that video back because I've been doing research. So yeah,
I wouldn't be
which one
surprised.
we're talking about.
It's pretty recent, isn't it, Greg?
It's from last March, but that's how I found it too. Is just like I said, my forehand went away and just went online to try to figure out what guys are doing to get that distance, and I came across this video, and ever since I've been using these techniques that he talks about, and it's really helping my forehand game so far.
I mean, and listen to what Sexy has to say about the forehand shot.
That just because I do it one way doesn't mean that's the perfect way. Try it, sure. If you feel like you need a change with your forehand grip, feel free to try it. But maybe you have a lot smaller, a lot bigger hands. Maybe the grip won't work perfect. The key things of forehand grip for me: 2 fingers on the rim and no space here. So don't let there be space here. Go all the way in and get 2 fingers engaged. Those are the key things. However you do that, just comfort above all else once you have those things. So that's my grip. As far as footwork, where am I in frame here? Can I just kind of go out this way?
Yep, just a little further out.
Okay, so for me, as you guys probably all know, I use the world famous Sexton hop. I use it with all my forehands, and how I do it is, at its simplest, it's a left foot step, then a right foot, and then hop onto the right again, and then go. So I could kind of do it going towards the camera. Maybe that'll be better. So if I was going to throw kind of a middle distance forehand, it's going to be left, right, go. And it's kind of like, I think they call it a crow hop in baseball. Say you're out by the warning track, you're outfield.
All right, that was the end of that. So that is what I actually had. That I downloaded that from Craig. So that was why it was a little screen recording there. But for sure, for me, I think the only way I'm ever going to be able to actually get the forehand down is with that little crow hop move he's talking about. Just because, I don't know, I'm a bigger guy. My body type does not necessarily lend itself to the forehand angle so much. I think the thinner, lankier guys are able to achieve the proper angle. I get kind of chicken winging with it a lot sometimes. But that working on it in the little bit that I have in the last couple of days, really not even a week, since Craig sent me that video, the crow hop and really trying to slow down and use something stable in like a Buzz or an XL has helped me out. So.
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing for me on that video is just how he holds the disc and his finger placement. When I was taught how to throw forehand, I was taught kind of a split grip and just kind of keep it flat and fling it through and it'll work. And it never worked. It would always come out on that flutter and it would just kind of tank straight left and it was never good. So just holding it all the way back and really making sure I have a good grip before I throw has been the biggest thing for me.
That's kind of how I've been taught, and even just going, like, taking what he said and saying go all the way into that corner, to where my hand doesn't, like, my hand is like being pushed out by the disc. That's been the biggest thing for me, because that helps me pinch this spot here harder, and that feels like it just brings everything out a little cleaner. So it's definitely been a help for me too. But Chip, thank you so much for joining us this episode of the podcast here. You want to go ahead and tell people where they can follow you and find some of your disc golf content so they can go hit you up?
Yeah, my Instagram is discgolf_Chip. And then my YouTube is just Chip Bryan. And if I do anything on YouTube, I usually post a link to it on Instagram. And most of my videos are shorter these days. And so they go straight to my Instagram. So like any kind of disc discussion or quick reviews are going to my Instagram more than YouTube.
Sure.
But I do plan on ramping up the YouTube a little bit more now that the weather's warming up a little bit.
For sure.
But I do appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
It's been great to meet you and get to know you and talk disc. I definitely checked out your little mini review of the Raptor, and I'm pumped for that to come out. Well,
Yeah,
are they for sure calling it the Raptor, or is it still just test
Yes,
flight?
yeah, it's that's the name. It's gonna. I think it's actually gonna be Yuli's signature disc for this year. So,
Yeah, I saw some of those stamps going around. Those look pretty sweet.
Been handing them out at different events he's been doing.
Sweet.
Starting his tour. So yeah,
Very
but
cool.
yeah, the Raptor. I wasn't sure it was gonna make the bag, but it's kind of like a faster Buzz OS for me. So where I go the Zone and the Buzz OS they're kind of the same for me.
Me
The
too.
Raptor gives me a little more versatility where I can throw some overhands, put a little bit more on it, and then that skip flare at the end just opens up all kinds of shots.
Yeah,
Sweet.
there's a whole.
So it's a for sure. It's a winner.
There's
So
a hole right now at my course that's close to my house where I play a machete on that skip shot where I
I
throw
love the machete
like
too.
dead into the ground at maybe like 100 feet, and I get a double skip, and I've hit chains like 3 times, but I've never smoked one in there. So, but does it compare pretty well to the machete? Is it different?
I would say for me when I was testing it, I have a first run that's pretty seasoned at this point. Machete, it throws kind of like a beat-in machete.
Okay, interesting.
It's a little straighter, not quite as stable, and a little bit slower. So it doesn't go quite as far, but it kind of has that same line.
Cool.
So they complement each other well for me in my bag.
Sweet, good.
Awesome.
I'll have to pick one up when they come out. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool. Thanks very much, Chip. We will look forward to maybe connecting with you again at some point. And thanks for being on. You've always got a place to come hang out here if you want to. So just let us know, keep us in the loop.
We'd love to check in with you like mid-season and see how tournaments are going and maybe what you've got planned for the rest of the summer or whatever. So we'll definitely be in touch.
Sounds good.
All
Appreciate it.
Take it easy,
Thanks,
Chip.
Chip.
All right. See you guys.
See ya. Cool. That was
Cool.
fun. Chip's a sweet guy.
Yeah. Good guy.
Real good guy. And we didn't even get into it, but he's I'm not sure if this is how you found him or not, because we don't like we used to do the disc golf for the week back in the day when we had the Central Disc Co going on.
Yeah.
But he's got an all pink bag, which
He does, which I've actually talked to Chip a few times just via comments and maybe even a few messages back and forth. But I had posted something a while back about should I go with an all pink bag, and he was like right on it. Yes, do it. I've got an all pink bag. It's sweet, and he was right. So now I'm doing it. So shout out again, Chip. Thank you for that. And I've actually pretty much completed the all pink bag at this point.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
waiting on a few in the mail, but.
what do you got? What do you got that's not pink right now?
Well, the 2 Lunas that I have are kind of this bluish color, bluish gray, which I did that on purpose. I like my putters to be like a whitish blue, whatever. And then I got this, this Jawbreaker Roach, and definitely said it was going to be pink, and it came out purple. But I had posted a picture of it, and Chip actually commented on it and said, "Don't worry, I have a few of those. When they beat in, they fade to pink." So
Interesting.
we'll see. We'll see once I actually, the snow gets off the course and I'm able to throw it. See if he's telling the truth there. But
Or if
I have no
he's
doubt
a
he is.
rotten scoundrel of a liar.
Yeah, right. He really seems like that kind of guy.
Yeah,
So
you definitely get that vibe. No, not at all. He's an awesome guy. Okay, so that was our first ever interview, which, I mean, dang, we can do one of those every week. That was a lot of fun. But we
Yeah,
have
good.
something to finish up from last week. Last week we were talking about the Gratiot. Oh, my microphone's falling. We were talking about
There
the
you go.
Gratiot County Open at Reed County Park, and we got through the first 9 holes of kind of how we are hoping to approach it. And it was really more, in my opinion, it was more just something cool to try on the stream. And now we have some better technology to maybe make it look a little less janky.
Yeah,
So,
a little.
Except
when the stream doesn't work for the first 20 minutes, and
for when
we lose a really good interview with Chip.
we still got it. We got 7.
I'm really bummed that some of that didn't go live. I mean, all the stuff that he was talking about, Discraft Underground, and all the cool stuff that they're doing, kind of bums me out. But hopefully, we have it somewhere, and we can.
Yeah, I saw
I
that
don't.
like 7.5 minutes or so of us talking to him did go up onto the channel. So I will for sure go and grab that down and composite it
Perfect.
to help us out.
Anyway,
So,
anyway,
anyway,
we're talking about.
we're gonna go switch over here to my screen share to check out hole number 10 at Reed County Park. Now this one, this is right after hole number 9, which we talked about last week, is kind of a short. Hole number 9 is kind of a short ace run, really, to a pretty well protected pin. Hole number 10 is not particularly long, but this image of it here doesn't really do justice to how grown up it is. Kind of the same way as last week. It's just standard rule of thumb. Everything's way thicker for the rest of these photos than what they show. So, but it's a pretty straight hole. If you can get a nice flex line, something that usually probably starts on like a hyzer flip, maybe with a little bit of. Sometimes I can get my XL to do it where it kind of comes out on that hyzer, but kind of still hyzers and then flips and then kind of moves left to right. And that's really the shot I try and play here. Usually with a more understable buzz these days because it's only 337. But some days I can't get a buzz to go that far, and so I'll go with the XL. But that's pretty much my play here.
Yeah, I take a little different approach, and I try to go far left on this hole. I try to, because in the middle of the fairway there's quite a bit of trees. I'm looking over here on the stream because I can't see on the screen what's going on, but yeah, in the middle of the fairway, there's quite a bit of trees and bushes and just stuff you don't want to get into. So I try to go far left and then kind of attack it from there. That seems to be a better route for me personally.
Sure. So you're looking, again, you're going to be delayed on the stream, but what I'm looking at here is there's this kind of landing zone off to the left behind these first three trees. And you're 100% right. It does. If you can land on that spot, which is relatively easy to do with a Buzz OS or something like that, then you got a pretty straight approach to the basket, and you're looking at a 3, no problem. So. Yeah, I'd say that's as good of a, for especially going into these next couple holes, getting a 3 there and just kind of sitting back and resting on that 3 and not trying to push going into these next couple holes.
That's the thing, that this hole I'm not getting a birdie on this hole, and so it's one of those that I just have to sit back because the next few holes are holes that I can definitely get into some trouble. So I try to save my shots on this hole the best I can.
Right. Some people are probably looking at this going, well, there's this giant hyzer window right here that you can throw a flip into. Definitely not. That probably hasn't been there since this photo was taken in 2011.
No, this is a lot thicker. And even down the fairway, it looks so open right now that it's not at all. So
it's very much more of a tunnel shot in the way that it looks to the eye than this does. So
yeah, hopefully this spring I can get out and get some better pictures, and maybe we can revisit this and actually show what the course looks like.
Or we could just vlog our round, or like a practice round before
Perfect
the tournament. We can just take some cameras out there. So
that'd be good.
Hole number 11 is no longer 267 feet. 267 feet kind of had it up where this kind of red shrubbery sticks out here, but now it goes all the way back to this back tree line and then a hard turn to the right. And unless you're a lefty throwing a big hyzer, there's pretty much no way to get that there, or throw a forehand on a distance line, which, as we've already stated in the stream, neither one of us have. So how do you try and make this a manageable hole?
Well, I've seen quite a few different routes. I personally just usually take like a thrasher and just fling it down the middle there and try to get it to finish a little to the right, because it goes straight into an opening and then hooks up to the right. So I try to land it right in that opening and then attack it from there.
Yeah. So this is another XL hole for me, or at least it has been in the past. Previously before that, it's been a crank hole. Don't let the 267 fool you. Like, I can put a crank out 350 pretty easy. I'm not gonna say I'm like have a cannon arm, but 350 is manageable for a crank for me. So usually it's a crank. Sometimes if I really get a hold of an XL, I like to throw the XL because when I put a lot into it, it holds that left to right all the way down. And so if I can locate my shot well enough out to the left to not get in trouble in the woods on the right, if I'm feeling good with the XL, then that's what I'll throw. But if not, I'll just pump a crank straight down the middle and try and take it. Even in the middle of the fairway, if you get to the elbow on this hole, the upshot is not super easy because the
No,
basket's
there's
really
tons of
long.
trees. Yeah, that's essentially what I try to do. I try to get to that elbow and then just try to punch it through with something. And I'm excited to try the Lunas out for that shot perfectly.
Yeah, I'm excited to try the heat on this hole now that you've talked me into putting that in my bag.
Yeah.
Because the shot that I threw with it the other day, I texted you and was like, man, this heat is pretty overstable because I put way too much hyzer on it, and then I threw it pretty neutral the next time, and it just held that turnover line the entire way. And that would be perfect for this hole if the distance is right, which I don't know until I get there and try it out. But yeah, that's the only thing that I can really think of for this hole because it's so much longer than this now. It was a very easy hole at this point when it was 267.
Yeah, I wish I've never played it when it was like that. So
Really?
no, I came on the scene after they had moved it.
This was just a buzz shot, a really easy turnover buzz shot, and you'd be parked every time.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Which going into hole 12 is what we're about to see was a really nice confidence booster because hole 12 is the devil. So
It's the hard. Well, it's not even the devil. It's the hardest hole on the course by far.
I've never been able.
It's
to
pretty
score
tough.
on this hole.
No.
Ever.
Well, let's see how you attack it.
When I've simplified, well, I'm going to tell you the most recent way that I've done it. It's still,
Not saying that I run any birdies at it by any means, but
So the thing about this hole now is I'm looking at this again. This is from 2011. Maybe it's most of the rest of them are. Let's see what the other options are. Well, we got some more down the fairway shots. Maybe we'll look at here in a second. But this tee pad, this doesn't look right to my eye even because it seems like this goes left to right so much harder than this these days. Maybe that's just an illusion.
It does. There's some smaller trees that have grown up there.
Yeah, like right here in between these first two trees, there's kind of an outgrowth of trees or bushes that have kind of really narrowed this gap up. And so what I've basically resigned myself to having to do is to throw a soft magnet down on a really just hard line to try and turn that corner the whole way and get to that landing zone that's around this corner. But even in that landing zone, I can't really get any further down the fairway than that because I can't throw a buzz and a comet. I don't know. I guess it probably has been a long time since I tried a comet on this hole. But I've gotten into the groove of just throwing magnet. And sometimes it'll work out, but I'll still be short and not have a good look to even get anywhere close to the pin for two. Or I'll hit one of these first trees, which is more usually what happens.
Yeah. Does this hole play as a 4 or as a 3? I can't remember.
I think tournaments it plays as a 4.
Okay. It should. It definitely should.
I'm fairly certain it does.
Typically, what I do is I'll take like a meteor off of the tee and just try to fling it out there. And I don't even do a run up off the tee. I just do a standstill and just really focus on hitting the line and getting it down the fairway. And then from there, I usually was throwing like a dynamic disc felon and just trying to skip it up to the basket. And it'd usually leave me with a pretty decent look at a putt. But anytime you hit a tree, you are really scrambling on that hole because it's a long way down there. I don't remember what the distance said it was, but
448.
It can get away from you quick just because it does have that kind of S curve to it. Yeah. And if you hit a tree on the first hole or first throw, you're really scrambling
into a really, really long hole. I mean,
yes.
You're looking if you hit one of these first trees, which as I said I've done. It seems like more times than I've not hit one of these first trees. It gets in my head and I just get so pissed off. But if you hit one of these first trees, you're looking at a 5. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And say that's good course design, say it's bad course design. I don't know which one you'd fall on, but it's a freaking hard hole and I hate it. So we're gonna look at kind of further down.
I think it's a great hole personally, just because the first few holes are so easy or were so easy when the course was built that it kind of amps up to this one hole and then it kind of backs back down after that.
Yeah, the next couple holes, as we'll see, they're definitely longer than the first couple holes, but there are a lot of hyzer shots and anhyzer shots, with the exception of 17. But we'll get there. So this is kind of the look here at the basket. Not even at the basket. This is kind of that landing zone, right past that first bend that you saw on the first picture. So you've got this split fairway here. This side of the fairway can't really take you anywhere productive. So it's really this hole, this here, and you've got to get around this big tree. And then it's probably another 50, 60 feet back to the basket at that point.
Yeah.
So that's why this hole is it's crazy to me how difficult it is, because you have to have the exact perfect shots, and you have to execute them exactly perfectly, which, if you're going to be a competitor and you're going to go out there and try and make a name for yourself, you're going to go out there and try and, be someone who's seen as a good disc golfer in other people's eyes, then yeah, you need to be able to do that. But for me, it just makes me mad, and then it ruins the rest of my round.
Yeah, no, I mean, this course is a course that I just try to get my birdies, as many as I can on the front nine, and then just shoot for par on the back nine. This hole I typically take, I used to throw a T-bird. Now I throw an undertaker, try to go to the right side of the fairway and kind of hug those trees and get it to flex right at the last moment, and just get out in the fairway and then either run a shot, an upshot, or lay it up for a 2. If you go to the left side and cut it kind of short, it makes for a tough hole, because there is another big bush between the left side bend where you see right there and the basket.
Yeah.
So if anything, you want to miss to the right on this hole.
So just to kind of give a reference, the basket is pretty much, where my cursor is, but on the other side of this tree line.
Yeah.
So that little path that extends, and it's about up there. So best case scenario for me on this hole, I land right pert near somewhere around this tree, and I'm looking at a straight shot and then a very sharp left-hand turn. So if I found myself in the best case scenario, that goes down the fairway, and just hoping that it doesn't get me in more trouble than I'm already in. So it's a tough hole.
And really, this hole, if you get off into the woods, it's still manageable to get out and get in for a 4. You just have to get it down the fairway. If you kick off that group of trees in the middle of the fairway and it kicks deep into the woods, you're kind of screwed at that point. But if you cut that corner short, it makes it tough, like I said. I think you just want to miss to the right, if anything.
Yep. I agree. It's a tough hole, but once this one's behind you, it's not so terrible after that, and you still got some scoring opportunities. So let's keep moving. This is probably my favorite hole in the course, hole number 13. It's just an easy hyzer. So this is what it looked like, in days gone by, a little bit. You can see this is a little bit more true to life as to how grown up it gets. And then you turn the corner there where those middle trees are, and you're looking at a big, maybe 100-foot hyzer to the left to the basket. But to get to that corner is not that far, and putting something on a hyzer that's got a lot of finish, like a Force or a Punisher, right about here, or something like a Undertaker in one of these lower lines, or a Vulture even, is going to get you far enough over there to have that approach shot for your 3, for your easy drop in 3. If you take this high hyzer shot and you've got the big enough arm, like our buddy Dan that we talk about all the time, it is only a 350-foot hole, but you got to throw a lot farther of a shot than that on that high of a hyzer. So if you've got a 400-foot, 420-foot hyzer in your bag, then you can park this for a 2, but not me.
Yeah. No, I got nothing else to say about that one. I'm pretty much in the same spot, so
yeah.
We can go on to the next one.
That's pretty much it. Hole number 14 is kind of the same song and dance. There are some guardian trees. I don't think they have a picture of it. There's some guardian trees. After you clear this bush, it widens out to this way, and then there's a line of guardian trees before you get to the basket. So you've got to throw a pretty straight shot all the way there, or throw a hyzer that just doesn't really finish all that hard. So it's still a pretty straight shot. But if you can clear that tree and you can keep it straight, you've got to.
Even that big bush tree, whatever it is in the middle of the fairway, is actually gone now. They cut that down a couple of years ago, so it made the hole a lot easier. Because you used to almost have to throw it out to the right, like you said, and kind of let it dump back off to the left. But now you can pretty much just attack it head on.
Yeah, and it's relatively short. It's 336. So for you and I, that's somewhere between like a Buzz and a fairway driver. So I'd probably throw like my legacy rival, and just keep it straight.
Yeah.
So easy enough. Moving on. Like we said, after that hole number 12, things kind of simplify. And this same story here with hole number 15. It's a little bit more technical because it is longer. It is.
This is 14, right?
No, what we just showed was 14. Now we're on 15.
Oh, right. I'm delayed from you, but yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
So this is 15. It's 450 foot. We've seen our friend Dan park this many times. It opens up after this
Which
corner here.
it's an easy park if you've got an
If you've
arm
got, yeah,
and
if
you
you've got
can
the arm,
throw
absolutely.
something, but
He would
if
throw
you
that,
don't,
he'd throw that
it
thing
can get real
destroyer.
tough.
He'd hyzer flip it right down this line. It'd pop up, and it would just ride, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever witnessed in real life.
Yeah. Does this hole play as a 4-2 in tournaments?
It might.
I
It's
think it
pretty
does because
long.
it plays really long because of all the bushes and trees and everything that's strategic. Once it opens
Right.
up,
So
it opens
I'm
up, but
showing
it
that.
doesn't.
I'm showing that right now on the stream, but like you said, you're
Yeah.
delayed. So
Oh, yeah.
once you get away from that gap down here, that's a little bit further back. It opens up, but then there's all these little trees that you got to contend with, and there are these two big pine trees, and the basket's right in the middle of them. These are much bigger now than they were, up.
10 years ago, 9 years ago, whatever it was.
But there is definitely that hyzer line if you can hug these trees and kind of peter out right in here, and you get a little skip, and you're parked.
Mhm.
If you can throw it that far. If not, you're going to be somewhere back here. You've got a real easy upshot to get your three, no problem.
Yeah, I used to try to throw over top of the stuff on the left off the tee. That was the route that Dan always took, and so I just kind of followed him, and then realized when he was parked next to the basket, my disc stalled out about 200 feet behind his and dumped off into thick stuff that I didn't want to be in. So now I just approach it a lot differently, and I try to throw it straight down the fairway and play up the right side of it. The basket sits off in the back left corner. So I just throw something straight and then throw a big hyzer shot from there and hope to spike it right next to the basket.
Yep. All right, home stretch. 16
Home
is
stretch.
relatively easy because
Favorite hole on the course.
it's nothing but a very short buzz turnover. I mean, there's not much to it other than that. Let's see if there's a picture in the middle of the fairway. Yeah, so once you get around this corner here, it just kind of turns, and the basket's basically right there. It's a very easy hole once you know you have the shot to throw for it.
Yep.
And that's just a buzz turnover on an easy line. Actually, I think I've more recently I think I've thrown the Comet, just because it glides out a little bit further and it turns the corner a little bit sharper than the buzz. Sometimes with the buzz, I'll end up on the back side of the basket because the basket is protected by a tree. But if you can get around,
A pretty big one.
yeah, if you can get around the back side of it, you'll have a putt, and if you can cut it a little bit shorter, you have a putt. So for lefties or for forehand throwers, this is a breeze of a hole too.
Yeah, I was throwing a Comet for a long time on this hole, and it would always just either I would put too much of an angle on it and it would crash down and then roll way away, or it would just keep going, and end up in the woods behind it.
Sure.
So I actually switched to throwing a soft magnet and putting it on that same line, and it just kind of glides and lands right up by the basket. So
Honestly, if we were to
Good
go
hole,
play
though.
around right now, I'd probably throw a soft magnet too because
Yeah.
I'm just feeling the magnet. It's something fierce right now. I love that.
feel it. It's a safe play.
Feeling
Yeah.
it. 17 is probably one of my least favorite holes on the course, just because it's hard to attack now that they've extended it, because of the way that this first angle kind of extends off this way. You've got to throw something that flips. You got to throw something that flips pretty hard and then doesn't finish very hard at the end either. So it's a 300-foot shot. Actually, it's much longer than that now. It's probably close to 4. It's probably more like 350. But that XL just doesn't stay straight enough for me. It tails off to the left at the end, and then I get stuck in some of these last little couple lines of trees here before you get to the So
Yeah, I don't. It's a lot tighter than that picture shows, just like every other hole. But those trees on the left have so many marks on them from guys smoking into them, and that basket sits basically if you just hug the tree line on the right side, it sits back there down in a hill now, and so yeah, you've got to get something that flips quickly and doesn't finish back too hard at the end. It's a really tough shot unless you have that forehand. This is another one of those holes that I play it safe because I get in trouble really easily. So I typically just try to throw a buzz out there as far as I can and then attack it from there.
yeah, if we were playing a tournament around here tomorrow, what I'd probably do is throw a Comet and try and get it as straight as I could for as far as I could, and then throw that magnet as straight as I could as far as I could.
Yeah.
And get my 3.
I feel like a broken record saying that on every hole, but I really have simplified my bag a lot and realized that I don't have a cannon arm. I don't have the skill of the guys that I watch, the pros, and just keep it to what you can. And I think that's what the key to disc golf is. Just stay in your abilities and don't try to do more than you can. So if a buzz is all you got, that's all you got.
Yeah. That's really the reason we wanted to do this little walkthrough of all these holes. We haven't stated this yet, but really just course management. There's so many people that could score better if they just learned to play within themselves. And
that's me.
We've both had to learn the hard way, and learning these kind of course management tips, that it's invaluable. So okay, hole 18. Let's see if it's the new layout or the old layout. And it's the new layout. So this is really easy. It's a hyzer over a lake, and it's not that far. It doesn't.
As long as you don't smack your hand on the tree that's right by the tee pad, or smoke the disc and it trickles down into the pond, lake, whatever you call it here in Central Michigan. After that, there's not much to it.
Yeah, you've got this kind of these two trees do make it a little bit difficult because more ideally you'd want to be kind of closer to this edge of the tee pad and throw it out wide. So you got to throw something that's maybe just a touch stable as opposed to like overstable, so it flips up and checks up. But I just throw a rival on this, and I'm usually pretty much parked.
Yeah, that's. I honestly don't play this hole as aggressive as I should about it. I usually just try to grab one of the most overstable discs in my bag and play the safe route. Just get it onto shore and then take my 3. But I think this year I'm going to attack it more and really go for those birdies on this hole because it is one of those easy ones that you should be able to flip it out there and park it within the circle or right circle's edge and attack a putt.
Finish the round on a birdie. That's the idea anyway.
That's the goal.
So, cool. Well, that was cool. That was the back 9 of Reed County Park, the Vines Disc Golf Course at Reed County, where we are playing a tournament upcoming in May. I'm looking forward to that. So, huge shout out to Chip for joining us on the stream tonight. That was a lot of fun. We'll have to get some more people on. If you want to be on the stream, if you're watching this and you want to be on the stream, hit us up at DGCentral_ on Instagram or send us an email at dgcentralpodcast@gmail.com. I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, if you've got somebody that you want to nominate, we're going to be doing a Disc Golfer of the Week every week. And if you've got somebody that you want to nominate for that, let us know, and we'll check them out, and we'll feature them one week.
Yeah, I
think next week, I think we want to talk a little bit more about the upcoming season and predictions as far as a pro level. Yeah. The Las Vegas Challenge starts next Thursday, so we should get into that a little bit and get into some of the predictions and more pro talk than what we've been doing.
And by next Tuesday, we'll know what the big reveal is with Discmania and the way that they're going to, quote, change the game, unquote. So
they've actually
the entire show talking about that.
They've actually traded for Paul Macbeth. That's rumor on the street. They I don't know. I think it's a player to be named later. But I don't know.
We'll know next Tuesday, and we'll be sure to cover it. So if you're still here, thanks for joining us. We're going to sign off till next week. Thanks for being here, and we will catch you then.